champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Success or failure? That is the question a lot of Reds will be asking themselves, or a question that will be asked of many Reds, because realistically, some may not have picked us to be in the position we ended up being in for the remainder of the season, as it were, coming down to a point once again. However, Peter, the coach Kofinas, I dare ask you this question. Success or failure for the 21-22 season? Keeping in mind, we've won 2 trophies, missed out on one that we were never really expected to challenge for nor to win. And we're in the chance of going for arguably the biggest trophy in world football outside the World Cup. So your initial thoughts, success or failure for this season?
Look, if you had told me at the start of the year we're going to win 2 trophies and be in a title race all the way through to the end and then make a Champions League final without knowing the result yet, of course, I would have bitten your hand off for it. So for me, it's success.
I would say so as I would definitely say so as well. I mean, because ultimately, like, everyone's in it to win, everyone's in it for trophies, and trophies are trophies at the end of the day. I mean, they still count. Doesn't matter what it is. You can complain that it's a Carabao Cup, it's whatever. Well, it's the FA Cup. We won it 3 times in the last 5 years. Are you telling me you would sacrifice not winning any trophy out there because you've won it in the last 2-3 years? I would say you're an idiot. You'd want to win every trophy that you possibly can. If you end up having a dynasty of FA Cups like Arsenal have, you'd want to keep going for it. But Arsenal fans now, they're at the point where they don't care about the FA Cup anymore. They want that top 4 position. But for Liverpool, for Man City, for other clubs out there, the big clubs, all their intention is to win trophies. So like you said, 2 trophies, 1 more potentially to come. You can't say that's a bad. Anytime you win a trophy, it can't be a bad season.
No, look, like I said, we also won a trophy that we haven't won in a long time in the FA Cup, which we did it the hard way, which is only the only way we know how to do. I mean, just go look at even today, the last game of the season, where I don't know about you, Nick, but I work in football, so it was quite a difficult day. But a lot of people were saying, "I bet you at 2-0, you thought you'd won it." The answer is actually very simple to that. And the only thing that scoreline ever did for me personally was just go, maybe. But never thought, because at no stage were we ever first. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was not one stage this morning where we were first. Or we had one hand on it, like, oh, wow, because that 2-0 scoreline helped us, because we didn't help us today.
Well, we didn't. We'll talk about ourselves, but like LJ says, it hampered their health. And I mean, 3 goals in 6 minutes. I mean, they talk about the 5 minutes or the 6 minutes in Istanbul. This was, I'm not saying it's anything like it, but if you want to compare, like, holy shit, football can really change in a matter of minutes. I mean, that result was literally it. I mean, 76, 78, and 81, and that was pretty much done and dusted. Up until that point, we were really celebrating. That second goal went in. When you see the way Salah celebrates, and then at the end when Robertson scores, in the 87th minute, whatever it was more of subdued, yay. It was like we scored, we're a bit of a way. But like you said, it was never in our hands. So even if we'd won that game, still, it would have had no bearing on what happened. I mean, let's be realistic here. Aston Villa did give it a good go. I mean, 2-0 up against City, you're thinking, holy shit, this is actually going to happen. Now, granted, I was actually asleep. I didn't watch any of this. I was absolutely out of it. There is no chance I could have stayed up, even to wake up at one point. So I missed out on all the hysteria. But I'm thankful that I get to have another year or 2 added to my life, not having to go through that heart wrench, because I know a lot of Liverpool fans must have, and you would have as well, because you look dead tired. But for those,
I'm running off.
Yeah,
2 hours sleep. It's actually.
For those first 70 odd minutes, when we did sort of take a lead at one point, did you actually think this is actually, it was 1-1 at the time. Did you actually think to yourself like this is on? And then when we scored, but they were already 2-1 up at 2-1. 2-2 at that time. So the draw was still there.
No, you know what I thought? I thought only we could do it this way. I thought that's the one thing I thought. Okay, only we do it this way. Like go down 1-0 really early, and then obviously while Villa is 2-0 down, we still are at like 1-1.
2-0 up.
When City are 2-0 down.
Yep.
We still at 1-1, and I'm thinking myself, only we do this because I've got that that feeling where if we had scored and gone 2-1 up, for example, while they were still 2-0 down, I actually think that would have had like a carry-on effect over there in Manchester.
Mm.
But I thought to myself, of course, only we know like how to do something like that where we just make it extremely difficult for no reason. And and we did because we didn't capitalize when we could have or should have. It was, City gave them hope, right? Because they obviously talk among each other from the bench to the pitch within the stadium itself. They all would have said, obviously they're not up, it's still ours, and that that kind of removes a little bit of stress, even though they're losing. Because they're losing, but we're not winning.
It didn't make it any better.
No. So, look, I mean, we can sit here and talk about the season in matches that one of us, I'm not going to say who, predicted that this will cost us in the long run, but
I think a lot of people in hindsight, a lot of fans in hindsight will be looking back now, thinking like, look at the amount of draws you've had. It's like you said, you need to win. I think you've said it nonstop. We've always said it as well. You need to win against, say, 14 other teams. The other 5, because you're one of the other 6, you can give or take a draw or a loss here and there. But with this City team, you can't even afford a loss or a draw, it seems.
And you know what? Like, we'll talk about that now, and then I reckon little segue in terms of the games that we've drawn, because I want to talk about these draws because I don't believe that draws are good. We had someone in our chat talk about how draws are good. I don't believe for 1 second draws are good, and I'll explain why I believe that next. But at the end of the day, Nick, 2 trophies, 92 points, again, 90 plus. Unbelievable. We have Golden Boot. We've got the highest assists. We've got the clean sheet. We've got the highest clean sheets. It's again, we did it again. An unbelievable season that if it wasn't for this team with an empty bank check, we would have another title. Alex Ferguson only had 1 season where he cracked 90 points.
Yeah, and we've done it
cracked
twice.
90 points on 3 or 4 separate occasions now, and only won the title once.
Twice in 4 years. Like, I keep going back to it. The season, I think Leicester won the league on like 80-something points. Chelsea won the league on 80-something points. When we were hunting the title in 2008, 2009, United won it on 84 points or something to that effect. Or 86, whatever it was. So, I mean, to crack 80 points even these days sometimes is a bit of a wow. But when City's just constantly hammering through and you're the team chasing them, it's like, at what point am I going to be able to overstep these guys that are given everything out there? Now, I'm not going to say that we are underdogs or we're not as well backed, which one could argue we probably aren't in that aspect there, but the way we do business is different to City. But it's almost to the point where you say to yourself, how can this quote-unquote underdog, to use it in this example, get the better of the dominant force out there? How, without being exactly like them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And then, look, by the way, add that to the list of things for this season. Lowest losses again. You know what I mean? Like, you lose twice all year. You don't lose a game at all in 2022. You don't win the league. Like what you're saying, what you have to do to keep up with this sort of team, right?
It is bullshit in a way.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. But let's go on to the draws, for example, right? I think we drew 8 times this season.
Mm-hmm.
And look, this isn't to start to say this is one of those things where we spin off and then start hammering the season, but we got to discuss the season. That's the whole point of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And we drew 8 times. 2 draws to Chelsea, yeah?
Well, we
Two
first
draws
drew to
to
Chelsea
City.
1-1. There was the 3-3 against Brentford. Arguably, we were 3-1 up at that
Well,
point, I think.
let's go to the big game draw. So there was 2 draws against City,
Yep,
2 draws against Chelsea,
correct.
2 draws against Tottenham.
Tottenham, we had Brighton and Brentford.
Okay, so just quietly, 6 draws in the top 4.
Mhm.
And there it is there. And out of those, Brentford and Brighton, like, so out of the 8 draws, I think 4 were from leading positions. So
That
there
Brighton
was
game
2-0 at
especially,
home.
2-0 leading at Brighton, yeah, against
Yeah.
Brighton, sorry.
The Brentford one, we were leading twice. The Manchester City game, we were leading twice. What were the other games that in Tottenham, we were leading against Tottenham as well, weren't we?
That game, I'm just checking it now, looking at the moment. No, they were leading first. It was us. Then we went 2-1 up, and then Son scored.
So there you go. So we're in lead.
Yeah.
So
we were.
our draws, if you look at our draws, which were extremely frustrating, because majority of the time they were from leading positions. Now, draws are no good. So if you look at those 8 draws and you cut it down the middle, so let's say we lost 4 times and we won 4 times out of the 8 draws. If we add an extra 4 losses to our season, but win 4, we win the league.
Yep.
So like everything's we went lost twice, but no. But look, if you look at the games that we drew and how we drew them, like I said, you can throw an extra 4 losses out of those 8 into our season, as long as you win the other 4, and you've won the league. Okay, it's hard to talk like this now because these hindsights and if, ands, or buts. But this is what we have to do to beat Manchester City. That's it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like Manchester City, as good as we are, they're just better, and it's clearly shown over the 38 games because we drew 8 of them.
The thing is, as well, though, people say like it's okay to draw a game. I'm not throwing shade at anyone in particular here, but people say it's okay to draw a game. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe it was. Not anymore. Not if you're chasing this behemoth.
Yeah, but Nick, when you use the key word I was about to use, when you're chasing, when you're the chaser, a draw is never a point gained. It's 2 points dropped.
It's lost. That's what I mean. Yeah.
So when you're the one that's doing the chasing, you're the one that has to climb. A draw for me never really is a point gained. Unless you're down 2-0, for example, you come back 2-2, or you're down 1-0 the entire game and you snatch a late equalizer and it's 1-1. Then you can kind of say, oof, okay, a point is better than no points. But like I said, we just named out of the 8 draws, 5 of them were from leading positions. Again, it's not good enough, especially when you're at home, and a lot of those draws were at home.
Yeah. Well, the Brentford one was away. The Brighton one, I think that was away as well, actually.
No, home, 2-0 up at home.
Was it home, was it? Sorry. I'm just looking now.
City was at home.
2-2 was City. Yep. We had the 1-1 against Chelsea again. They got sent off, and that was when they were touted as being front runners for the league alongside City.
Yeah.
We had the 2-2. Yep, against Brighton. We were 2-0 up. They came back. So arguably, though, just win one of those games. Out of the 8 draws, you just win one of those games, and you're through.
Yeah, but like I said, you can lose 4 as long as you win the 4. I mean, like if you look how draws are, like, and again, 6 draws were against top 4 opponents. Out of the 8 draws, 6 were against top 4. Now, it's good that you didn't lose to them, but in order to win, you have to beat them. You've got to beat your opponents in the title race, especially. And I just feel like the draws for me are never good. Draws are not good because you're not winning. So you're saying it's good to not win. That's the way I look at it. Like I said, Manchester, okay, if we look at Tottenham, for example, their draw at home against us to them is a point gained because they're doing the chasing.
They're expected to lose, yeah.
But when you're chasing Manchester City, for me, there was 16 points that season through draws. We dropped 16 points, and you lose the league by 1. So draws for me are a real massive kind of hindrance to to a season in general, especially when you draw 8 times.
You're drawing at times, but like Southern Scouser says here, like you lose 2 games, you lose to Leicester and then to West Ham. It's weird. You lose 2 games all season because you think, oh, we only lost 2 games. So even the draws you gained, they were still good enough, but they're not good enough because again, you've got this team that will be losing 2-0. They'll come back to salvage a 2-all somehow. They're losing 2-0. They'll score 3 goals in 5 minutes. It's almost like they literally have an on switch when they really need to be on their game. And for us, which we'll probably move on to now so we don't harp on this for too long, is that we're starting to come back in games. We're conceding first and then needing to come back. Now, this will probably lead into a bit of discussion leading towards the Champions League coming this weekend. But is it good that we're conceding, or is it bad that we're conceding because we need to work harder in order for us to get back in, bring it back to 1-1 or whatever, and then go forward from there?
To agree with Adam quickly, that Leicester game for me drove me absolutely fucking mental.
Same,
Like,
I was.
absolutely mental. But the it's never good to concede, especially when, again, if you're chasing a title and you're in a title race and all this stuff. It's never good to concede first. And the way we've been conceding goals like this morning, are just like this half-assed kick over the top, and somehow they're in behind and they scored. Look, it's good that we've shown the resilience to come back and win 4 of those games in a row after conceding first, which shows again the great character mentality of this super squad that we've got and this unbelievable manager that we have. But in a Champions League final against Real Madrid, I don't want that to concede first against a team who's just done it year after year, after season, after final, because they're fresh. For 3 weeks, they haven't had a game to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're just, look, you saw it against the Wolves this morning. We looked just dead off our ass, like just hurry up 90 minutes, be done with it.
Yeah.
It was, and I don't think conceding first, especially against Real Madrid, is a good idea. But is it good to show this kind of, as you said, a way to come back into games after being down 1-0 or whatever it is? And yeah, of course it's good. 100% it is. But it's not a good habit to have.
The one thing I will say, though, the habit of coming back, though, it will say, oh, that's what good teams do. They come back. I would argue, why the hell are you conceding first to begin with? So you need to come back. You shouldn't have to come back. You should be taking the advantage on that front there. But if you do end up going behind, this team does have the fortitude to equalize and then go on and win the game, as we've seen it many, many times over again. But against a team like Madrid in the Champions League, I mean, that's a different story. I mean, if this game was win or draw regardless and you're champions, you would have probably seen a different approach in this game, would you think?
Yeah, of course. And I think, again, I did not have any expectations whatsoever heading to this game. It's not like that. So I'm being negative. It's not anything like that. It's just that, look, at the end of the day, they're 2-0 down. And this is exactly what I wanted to get onto. They're 2-0 down. They make a sub, and one of those subs scored 2 goals. For example, like they're showing that squad depth and squad power. We lose Thiago, which for me is absolutely devastating.
That's a potential bad one, yep.
And we're bringing on James Milner. Like, and that for me, that's the difference between winning and losing the title. It's what quality you can bring on and add to the game itself. And what Luis Diaz proved was that when you add that little bit extra oomph into an attacking line, and all of a sudden you've got 4 or 5 unreal, dangerous attackers, it kicked us on from January to today, because Salah went missing for the whole second half of the year since January. But we didn't miss him because Luis Diaz was such an injection, and it showed that, obviously Mane reinventing himself as that number 9. It showed that the quality of depth in attack actually got us through, right? Because that's what our depth did. It got us through, because Salah didn't turn up after January, after the AFCON. Like, I think he only said 2 goals in 14 games, whatever it was.
Scored one today, miraculously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, for me, that goes to show when you have a bit of depth in certain areas, it adds to your season. I think we definitely need to add in midfield. We can't keep starting Milner. I've got a feeling Milner's starting against Real Madrid.
Nah,
especially Thiago's out.
Surely
but
not.
Like, we need to add, and to Tchouaméni, if that's the case, great. We need to add, especially in midfield right now.
Yeah, midfield seems to be the one. I mean, when our midfield is purring, it's purring completely. It's second to none, some would argue. But with Thiago coming back from injury, Fabinho coming back from injury, leading up to the Champions League this coming weekend, that will have X amount of days to rest before they do maybe a training session and they make their way over Paris. But I mean, if Thiago is injured before the UCL, that's not good on any front there, because then you have to think to yourself, okay, is Fabinho going to be back? And if Fabinho is back, okay, cool, no problems. But then you play Henderson, and then who else partners Henderson in the midfield, for example? But the good thing is he was seen walking, standing, everything's normal. So I'll wait and see what happens. But Klopp says it wasn't good unless it's all smoke and mirrors and just maybe talking a little bit of shite to maybe think, oh yeah, Liverpool's yeah, here for the taking. And then he comes out and he's actually fit and he's starting. So we'll see what happens with the scans there. But is this a game where do you think Thiago could have probably been rested for this game, or do you think he was needed in this game?
I don't think it was needed because, like I said, the season for me was that game for me was a dead game anyway. But I think Thiago needed to play just to get rhythm as well. But for me, losing Thiago against Real Madrid, because I think our biggest mistake the last time we played Real Madrid was not playing Thiago and choosing to start Keita over him. And I think Keita was an absolute disaster that game. And I don't want to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to see him starting this final anyway, because I feel like those kind of big games where decision making can either win you or lose you a game. I think Naby Keita, for me, makes bad decisions in those big kind of games, like a lot of brain explosions. So hopefully Fabinho is fit, because obviously Fabinho and Hendo are their preferred two, if that's the case. And then it's like, I'm telling you, James Milner is going to start. I'm telling you, James Milner will start this final.
I don't want to think about it just yet, but we'll see what happens. But I mean, Fabinho had his hammy. Van Dijk had like a strain, so they missed the Wolves game here. So that's just pretty much just precautionary. But we'll have to see what happens now. Klopp said he can walk, which is a good sign. But after some rest, we'll see. He goes, I don't want to talk about it. Let us see. We want to wait until we know more about it and have confirmation. So we'll see what happens. So that's the Thiago situation. But before we move on to something, I just want to make a quick mention about, because for all the other fans out there, just a little jab back, just on my behalf. But Pete, I want you to speak about this one player, because I know you absolutely love him.
You think of Richarlison, are you? Oh, dear. Because
he is moving to AC Milan, who just won the Scudetto by a point or two. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm an Inter Milan fan, so that was a little bit disappointing. But it's nice to see a Milan Inter rivalry happening again, like they did once upon a time in the late 90s, early 2000s, and the like. And it's nice to see that we have a great player, say a cult hero. Some would argue legend. Some would say, I don't know, what's the other word you could probably use for him? Maybe not great or immortal, but for what he did for us, obviously the derbies, the Champions League, the Europa League as well, helping us, secure, some would say, top 4 spots. Give us, how do you sum up Divock Origi, Peter?
frustrating, but but full of great moments. I think that's the best way to describe him. Obviously, best of luck in his career, and thanks for the unbelievable memories that he's given us for some just crazy, iconic moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we just need to bring somebody in there who's going to be similar to Luis Diaz effect, similar to a Jota effect, someone that we know we can play week in, week out.
You say that. Apparently, it's been confirmed 19-year-old Carvalho will join us from Fulham now. So he will be a striker, 19 years old. They reckon that he's going to go straight into the first team. He's not going to be loaned out or anything, like ready to rock and roll, much like a Harvey Elliott mold or a Curtis Jones, be blooded into the team. So playing in the forward line, does that mean Firmino, if he does stay on, I think maybe he's got a year or two left, does he maybe drop back a little bit? I know it's a bit early to be talking about.
I'd love to see Firmino start playing as a kind of attacking midfielder, because you saw it against Southampton how good he was.
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah.
So I would love to see Firmino start playing in that deeper kind of like more advanced midfield kind of role, and maybe Fabinho and Thiago just side by side the whole time. And I think that would be unreal and something that we should try and experiment going forward. But because with Diaz, Mane kind of reinventing himself, and Salah, and obviously Jota, who can play as a striker, and Harvey Elliott, another season gone by with some good experience. Let's see what Carvalho has got. Let's see if we sign anybody else as well in the front three. But As for Firmino, I'd love to see him start playing as a bit more of a like that playmaker behind the front three. I think he's got that in him for sure.
Yeah, like reinvent the player a bit. Obviously, he's not playing that false nine anymore. That striker position has gone to other people more capable. That's no disrespect to the man, but with his footballing brain and his ability, I mean, the way he strings passes, the way he gets assists, the way he can, receive the ball from deep and make something happen, I think it's probably tailor-made for him. But that's probably a discussion for the off-season or leading up to the new season ahead. But before we wrap things up on a relative quick discussion here, as mentioned, Man City won the league on 93 points, beating us by a point again. We finished on 92 points. Discussed the few draws that maybe could have gone our way. Ultimately, you can't say it's a bad season because you win silverware. Anytime you win silverware, it's got to be a good season. I mean, depending on how you see the silverware, that's maybe a different story. If you see it as a whatever trophy, if you see it as something that you didn't really want, but I'm sure ask any of the other, 18, 17 odd teams that haven't won anything in a while, they'll tell you that they'll bite your hand off and then some to have their name on some silverware. So in saying that, a lot of talk has been said. This is just from me, just a bit of a rant, bit of a vent. Listening and watching other fan channels and things like that, a lot of other fan channels have said, yeah, Liverpool, if they don't win the quadruple, then they're absolute frauds and failures. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, no one expected us to get this far anyways. Some people expected us to finish second in the league. Lots said fourth. Some didn't even have us finishing in the top four. Winning a Carabao Cup, winning an FA Cup, losing out just on a Premier League again, potentially winning a Champions League for the second time in 3 years, and teams below us are laughing at us. I guarantee you, Muppets, you would be absolutely loving life if you were in our position chasing City, because everyone talks about chasing for titles, going for titles. We're going for titles. You're barely making top four at the moment. I know we've been there, but we can talk now because we're in this position. So for all you people out there who are ragging on Liverpool fans, look into your own mirrors, sort your own crap out. Stop deflecting on your own failures.
But this is for me is actually a very definitive moment. And I'll tell you why it's very definitive. It proves that we are the biggest team in the country and definitely one of the biggest in the world, because Manchester City win the league again, super team, like test tube team, Captain America style. They're built from, well, obviously money, but they've won the league again, 93 points, again, relentless, the way they've done it. And all people talking about is Liverpool.
It's us, yeah.
It's actually unbelievable. They've won the league and no one is recognizing they've won the league. The only thing that people are speaking about is, Liverpool didn't win it, sucked in. How about, like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is how you know we are the biggest team in the country, because we're the ones being spoken about. And the team who won the league, it's just like, yeah, but yeah, it's Manchester. No one cares. It's Manchester City. They weren't a team until fucking 4 years ago or 5 years ago. But like, it's unbelievable. And I think that's what really eats away at Pep. And I feel like that's why he always brings us up no matter what. Like, they can ask him, Pep, how was that sandwich for lunch? It's like, but Liverpool have better sandwiches. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like even they've won the league and anything people talking about Liverpool, it's unbelievable.
It is funny. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, KT says City won the league, but Liverpool are still the number one trending topic on Twitter in Ireland today. I mean, everywhere, because whilst there's still talk of us potentially winning one more trophy at the end of this season, that's why the talk was on. We could still do a cup treble. We can't do a league treble, but it's potentially still on the cards. Anything can happen. We've seen football. I mean, hell, scoring 3 goals in 5 minutes. Where have we seen that before? Reference Istanbul again and places like that. But it's funny how you say that. For all the talk, Pep said everyone wants Liverpool to win. Everyone wants Liverpool to win. I've not seen anyone saying really, oh, damn, that City took it from Liverpool again. It's always like, well, City were the better team and Liverpool, well, keep trying. So
you know what part eats me as well, though? Like, we talk about our draws and stuff like that, but what about the referee decisions that went City's way?
Pete, we can do a whole hour on refereeing
the Wolves
decisions.
penalty, the handball against Everton. Like these moments, these referees, like this is why I hate referees. I don't see them as human beings. And I'm sorry that if any of our listeners and fans are referees, but like you're evil. Like you're evil beings that always somehow get in the way. And then this season, you've managed to get in the way. That Paul Tierney, that handball against Everton, he got in the way of a season. And I just and it sucks that we've had a referee that had made a very influential decision on how the season panned out. Because Everton, that's a penalty to go 2-2, for example, right? Let's pretend that draw ends up a draw, and you never know. You never know. But it was this one: Spurs, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, whatever. Yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm saying.
100%.
They'd rather be in our position chasing. Being in finals means that you're good enough to be there to win it. If you lose it, you say, ha ha, you lost it, ha ha ha. But brother, we were there. We were participating. Where were you? Knocked out.
I look at it like this and go, like this is how good Jurgen Klopp and our side is, by the way. And this is the biggest compliment we can give our team. And exactly what Jamie Phillips football chats like. The biggest compliment we can give Liverpool right now is that we've turned Manchester United fans into Manchester City fans.
We are just a different beast altogether, Pete. Man City can do whatever the hell they do.
Think about
us.
Manchester United were chanting 20 times, whatever it is, because Manchester City were winning.
Yep.
Like, that's how good this team has been, and this is what we've done to football. This is how good Jurgen Klopp is. And I'm extremely proud of this team. And I said this to somebody. I was at a wedding on Saturday night, and I think the one that your sister was at, we had no idea that we were there. And I said to somebody, because someone come up to me, and it's the first thing that someone says to me. I don't know, for like the past week was, is it going to happen? Obviously, and all I said to him was very simple. I'd say no, I don't believe it's going to happen. But what I do want to share with you is that just enjoy the match. Like the fact that, again, we're talking about title races, we're talking about title cups won, we're talking about Champions League finals, we're talking about golden boots and golden gloves, and we're talking about the best manager in the world. We're talking like this is not going to last long. So whilst we are living through this moment, just appreciate everything that's coming our way at the moment, because don't get caught up in everything. Because like, again, we could talk about the draws and want to smash our head against the wall, but I'd rather be what we are right now than, for example, where United are and Arsenal and every other, even Chelsea with their ownership issues and everything else. Being a Liverpool fan right now is it's the best it's been since I've been alive.
And trophies equal successful season. I think that sums it up nicely. Like I said, anytime you win a trophy, you can't say it's a failure of a season. I mean, if you have an aim, if you have a target as a manager, obviously everyone has certain goals and KPIs they need to get to. Pete, as a manager, you have your own bits and pieces that you need to achieve in order to consider success. But I mean, if you're in 4 cup competitions and you win 2 out of the 4, are you going to say it was a shit season?
Of course not. I'll tell you what I want to finish with, because it's like I have to bring it up. Somehow, some way, we have managed to fuck Gerrard over again.
Oh, tell me about it. The way that they have been making that a thing when it's not a thing has been annoying the shit out of me. Gerrard slips for the second time and cost Liverpool a title. It's like, you dense mofos. He's the manager of Aston Villa. We spoke about it last week. The romanticism and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's all nice, airy-fairy sort of stuff. But realistically, he's looking after Aston Villa's needs and wants first and foremost. That's the bottom line. Anything thereafter, that's extra to that, that's a different story. Supplementary. Well, if I stop Man City winning this game and Liverpool win it, that's a nice little pat on the back for me. He deep down inside, Pete, he wants us to win the league because that's his club. But when business comes to the forefront, when it's all business, he's all about Aston Villa. So this notion of people making up bullshit of him costing the league again, I don't buy that crap.
That's what I'm saying. Somehow we've... Sorry, excuse me. Ugh. I'll be back 1 second.
Peter's choking up. Just mute yourself, mate. All right. There we go. Now
I was saying somehow we've managed to just throw him into the fire again. I don't know how we've done it.
But it's not us.
We've done
it's media. It's rival fans. The same people that got... It's the United fans that are finishing in 7th, losing to Palace at home. laughing at this. Like, why are you laughing? Again, other fans should look into their mirrors. Don't worry about what we're doing at Anfield up Liverpool way. Worry about what's happening in your backyard, because here we're winning trophies. We're winning trophies, people. Let me show you the banner again. This is us at the moment. Look, 2 out of 4 won so far, 1 to come still. Pete, you know as best as anyone, you got to be in them to win them. Liverpool are in it at the moment. And like you said, enjoy Liverpool being in everything that they can be in to win whatever the hell they can.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. Like being a fan in general is supporting your own team through the ups and downs, of course. But the whole point of being a fan is watching your team succeed. When your team is not succeeding and you've turned your attention onto another team, for example, who's succeeding but has bits and pieces of failures, but it goes to show where you're at as well as as a fan, as a person anyway. Like, at the end of the day, like I said, it's the best thing in the world right now being a Liverpool fan. And like, I'm 31 years old, and it's the best it's ever been for me being a Liverpool fan right now. And I know people who, in their 40s and 50s are Liverpool fans and say the same thing. Like, watching us play now and going through this now is the best they've seen, And Jurgen Klopp is, like, I don't know if we're ever going to see Jurgen Klopp again. And we're lucky enough to be living through this moment. So, I mean, I'm sure people said that about Shankly. Are we ever going to go through another Shankly? And here we have a version of him. But we can actually turn around and say now, we don't know if we're ever going to get another Jurgen Klopp. So let's go through these things right now and enjoy every single bit, because we don't know when it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I mean, United fans, Sir Alex Ferguson, how many years he was there, and when a manager like that disappears, the best you've ever had, you sort of say to yourself, okay, well, where to from here? Well, the last manager was successful for X amount of years. It will just continue. And we've seen that's not the case, and we've seen it as well in our time. But I think we'll wrap it up there, pushing on the 40-minute mark. But we will finish on that notion again. Trophies equals successful season. Pete, we've won 2 trophies. Like you said, if you told us we're going to win, well, no, let me rephrase. If someone said to me, come the mid-May, you're going to be in contention for 4 trophies, you will have won 2 of them already and potentially playing for another 2, you would have been in dreamland.
Like I said to you, I would have bitten your hand off.
Made 3 finals, won 2 of them, pushed hard, arguably the best team in Europe. If you're looking throughout the leagues, obviously Champions League will say otherwise, but if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, I mean, Man City, they are a machine. Like, there's no doubt about it. Pushing them all the way after we were not expected to be in the position we ended up in. Hey, man, I'm going to sum it up here. Jamie Phillips Football Chat says, this is the greatest time to be a Liverpool fan. United are years behind. Chelsea haven't got the sugar daddy anymore. Arsenal are still sorting out their business over at the what do you call it, Emirates. And you've also got Tottenham, who are trying to find their way as well now to see what Conte is going to do. So lap it up, boyos and girlos, because we have another big game left, Pete, this weekend. Is there going to be, do you think, a preview show for that? Can we muster something up before the weekend?
Well, since you're going to bring it up, I might as well announce this. I'm actually going to be in Paris.
This weekend?
Yeah.
There goes my plans for the weekend then.
I'm going to be in Paris. I leave Thursday. I get there Friday morning. I don't have a ticket to the match.
I was about to say you're going to be in the red square corner.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm close, and I get back. I leave, so I land in Paris Friday morning, and I leave there Sunday morning to come back to work, because technically I'm not allowed to go. So
I was about to say, so you're literally leaving just for that one match?
Yeah. Yeah. So technically I'm actually not allowed to go. So
this isn't an interstate trip to watch like an A-League final, man.
Yeah. Well, look, hopefully no one from work is listening to this show, because I may have planned a COVID situation. So, if they're listening and I've got it done, well, fair enough. But
no,
it's it is what it is. I'll just cop it on the chin. But it's look, these things, like I said to you, in our lifetime, they don't come around very often, and you've got to take them. And yep, for those who listen and watch the show and who are going to be there in Paris, just message us, hit me up, and we'll catch up. It's a good chance to to catch up with people that we never get a chance to catch up with because we're too far away.
That's it. Look for the 6-foot football coach up there in his Liverpool jersey singing Virgil van Dijk songs. I think we'll wrap it up there. Peter, thank you for joining me. It has been I'm not going to say up and down season. It has been a very up season because of what we've achieved and what we've managed to do. And after all the talk of us not doing anything this season, I think we can look back and, give him the old finger and say, well, F you too. You are traveling alone, aren't you?
No, just me and my mate, just two of us.
Just the two of us chilling, going over to Paris. Well, have a croissant and an espresso for me while you're there. Do send us some photos. Don't send me a postcard because you'll get here before the postcard even leaves Paris. And I guess you'll be lucky there. You'll be watching the Reds on some big screen somewhere with all the other Reds. So enjoy it, my friend. And I guess on behalf of all of us at the Red Sea, do check out our socials. Follow us on the Red Sea Down Under and the Red Sea Pod. Peter, the Coach Kofinas, thank you for joining me. Everybody, once again, this has been the Red Sea Down Under, discussing the season that almost was successful or failure. We say successful. See you.